Hello and welcome to YouTube. YouTube is a channel where you get to choose the content. So this week I'm going to talk about trumpets. This is from Richie. He likes trumpets, so it's sort of like so he can learn more about them. Trumpets, as I'm sure most of you know, is a brass instrument that typically has three buttons you can press that would indicate the notes. It's horn shaped, and the funnel at the front can be bigger or smaller depending on what volumes you want. The earliest ones that we had the earliest trumpets that we first ever made were originally horns, made out of horns and tusks of animals, and they were just one single note, no difference in notes. You could make different notes depending on which way you formed your mouth. So if you made your mouth so that it left a hole, or if you did it wider, it would make a completely different noises and tones. But apart from that, there was no buttons to sort of like to block out the air passages, because that's what the buttons do. They block out each air passage. So when you press one down, the sound goes through a certain gap. Second one down, it goes through a different gap. Third one goes through a third gap. And then if you don't press any of them down, it will go through the whole thing and make one note. If you want to press them all down, it will make a completely different note, and it just keeps sort of doing that way, so different gaps each time. We started having proper trumpet formations in 1400 BC. And that was the Egyptians. They made them out of brass and silver, and then eventually but they had wider bells than we have today, so wider front bits, wider fundals, and their buttons might have been wider as well, I think. People in India and China then adopted the classic version of trumpet we've got today with the three buttons and the swivel horn shape. But now we've got so many types. I've got quite a few types. We've got B trumpet, which is the traditional sweep crossover with the three buttons on top. We've got a B pocket. We've got a C one, which has a wide front, to the set of the circle being about a size of a quite a decent circle. It's now quite bigger, thinner out, and more bigger, so it's a more oval shape than a circular shape. A B pocket one is a smaller version of the B trumpet. It's a B pocket. It's one smaller, it's more compact. You can have more unique and softer sound, quieter sound. So you'll get more of like a squeaky sound than a lower sound, which you might get with the bigger trumpet, the bigger B trumpet. You've got a trumpet where it goes backwards, which is called a panflute. You've got a P trumpet, which is a trumpet that's made out of plastic. They're usually cheaper, as I found out. So the cheapest one, you can get those like 30 quid. Whereas if you get a proper trumpet, you can end up spending about $6,000. So it's like, which one do you want and which one sounds better? Depending on variety. We've also got a Picacone trumpet, which is the smallest trumpet you can get. It's very small. It's literally probably about 2 inches long, so it's not very long at all, and it has no button. Then there's a pingle, which has no button, so it's just a single trumpet, no button, so it's like a blowhorn really, but the loop is still there from the original trumpet shape. Trumpets considered one of the hardest instruments to play, mainly because if you get a note wrong in a sequence, it's very obvious to tell. I suppose like when you're playing a recorder and you're tooting, and if you just slip your finger slightly over the hole wrong, it can muck up the whole music piece, because you've literally moved your finger one notch to the right and it sounds completely differently. So it's exactly the same with trumpet. If you blow the wrong note, if you move your mouth the tiniest bit, it can blow the wrong note, which means then you've ruined your piece. There are health benefits but if you do play the trumpet, there are health benefits. It can improve the amount of oxygen you take in and out. You can take deeper breaths better, which also then improves your mental health, because if you're taking deep breaths, you're considering things more, which means that you're breathing in and breathing out in a deeper way. Like they always say, when you feel nervous, you breathe in and out. So if you remember to breathe with trumpet, take it in and blow. It sort of like remembers you to breathe properly and relieve all that stress by playing a trumpet. It also improves your core muscles, your stomach muscles, because you're taking all the air from that air section of your body. In my opinion, I would love to learn some kind of brass instrument, but my favourite would be a saxophone, not a trumpet. I don't think I have the finger strength to pull it with my joints, but I would love to hear a trumpet play, because I do love sort of hearing music, so I love being able to tell, oh, that's a trumpet, that's a violin, that's a piano. Next week, I'm going to talk about assistant dogs, what different types of assistant dogs we can get. Is there a dog breed that they commonly use for jobs? So I can't wait to go into that. See you next week.